Hey everyone, and welcome back. So, you're planning a trip to the happiest place on earth, and you know that picking the right hotel can totally make or break the magic. Today, we're doing a deep dive on a huge player right in the middle of it all, the Anaheim Marriott.
Yep, this is our next stop in the Disneyland Hotel Diary series, where we sift through all the marketing, the real-world reviews, and the guest experiences to help you find that perfect home base for your Disney adventure. The Anaheim Marriott bills itself as a 4-star destination, just a stone's throw from the park gates. But as we're about to see, the reality for guests can be a wildly different story. So what's the real deal here?
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at that 4-star promise. Then, we'll get into its location. Is it for a convention or a vacation? We'll investigate what I'm calling the room lottery, weigh the perks against the very real problems, give you our final verdict, and then leave you with some crucial pro tips.
All right, so let's start with the promise. What is the experience the Anaheim Marriott is trying to sell you when you click that Book Now button?
According to Marriott itself, this is supposed to be the whole package. You're expecting a top-tier hotel. You're thinking contemporary decor, really nice amenities, a beautiful pool to relax by, and service that makes your trip totally seamless. You know, this is the baseline for a 4-star stay.
Next up, location. And this is where things get really interesting, because in Anaheim, location is everything. And this hotel, well, it's sitting at a crossroads, trying to serve two completely different crowds.
This hotel has a total split personality. I mean, if you're there for a conference, the location is an absolute dream. You are literally right next door. But if you're a family with kids, that near Disneyland claim translates to a 20 to 30-minute walk. After a 12-hour day in the parks, trust me, that walk can feel like an absolute marathon.
And this brings us to the absolute heart of the matter, and honestly, the biggest gamble of staying here, the rooms. It really seems like no two guests have the same experience. It's a total lottery.
Let's start with a winning ticket. Some guests, like Joanne here, get exactly what they paid for. A beautiful room, a great view from the balcony, just a fantastic stay. This is that 4-star promise delivered. This is what you hope for.
But, and it's a big but, for every review like that, there seems to be another one that tells a completely different and often pretty shocking story.
And this is the dark side of that room lottery. And we're not talking about minor issues here. These are direct descriptions from guest photos showing serious failures in cleanliness and maintenance. Leaking AC units, stained walls, and just basic grime. It's a complete departure from that 4-star image.
And in the most extreme cases, this gamble can have some severe consequences. This guest reported leaving with bedbug bites, a situation that turned their birthday celebration into what they called an exhausting saga. This is the absolute worst-case scenario when you roll the dice.
Now, what's really interesting is how this contrast plays out across the entire hotel experience. It's not just the rooms. It's a theme that runs through pretty much everything.
And if you look at over 2,700 reviews, you can actually see the data behind these stories. Yeah, excellent and good reviews make up the majority, but there's a really significant chunk of guests who had average, poor, or terrible stays. So this isn't a universally loved or hated hotel. It's deeply polarizing.
This table breaks it all down. The perks are real. There's a lovely resort-style pool, a great concierge lounge for those with access, and a modern lobby. But each perk has a potential problem. That pool, it can become totally chaotic during conventions. The self-parking is described as a half-mile walk from the lobby. And for every story of great service, there's one of unresponsive staff and serious issues with billing or even safety.
Hey, if you're finding this hotel deep dive useful for your planning, please just take a quick second to like this explainer and subscribe. It really helps us keep the Disneyland Hotel Diaries going for you. And this is a perfect example of that problems column coming to life. For this couple, Austin and Jake, their honeymoon check-in was just marred by an interaction that made them feel unwelcome and offended. It's a powerful reminder that inconsistent service isn't just an inconvenience. It can deeply impact a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
So after weighing all of this, we're left with a big question. Who should actually stay at the Anaheim Marriott? Let's break down the final verdict.
Okay, this hotel is a pretty good bet for business travelers attending an event at the convention center. Your commute is zero, and the perks might outweigh the risks. It's also for travelers who understand the gamble and are willing to trade that uncertainty for a chance at a 4-star experience. However, it's a risky choice for families on that big Disney vacation, honeymooners like Austin and Jake, or frankly, anyone for whom a dirty room or bad service would be a major disruption.
Now, if you do decide the odds are in your favor and you're going to book a stay, we've pulled some essential pro tips directly from guest reviews to help you navigate your visit.
First, check that convention calendar. If a huge event is scheduled, expect crowds and chaos. Second, brace yourself for the long walk from the parking garage, especially with luggage and kids. Third, don't rely on the hotel shuttle. Guests report long waits, so Uber or Lyft is a much better bet. And finally, a very specific tip, if you run into a room problem, reviewers say asking for a manager named Haley seems to get better results.
And that brings us to our final question for you. When it comes to your precious vacation time and money, is the promise of a 4-star brand like Marriott worth the very real gamble on the quality of your actual experience? That's the trade-off, and only you can decide if it's a bet worth taking. Thanks for watching.